Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our AEW What If series in TEW 2020. I, of course, am Sierra Daredevil, bringing you all the live action. We have more tournament action happening here tonight. Two matches in the quarterfinals of both the World and Women's World title tournaments, and of course, one of the semifinal matches in the tag team title tournament. I did rearrange a little bit of what I said last week. The world title matches, we are going to be getting Lethal and Pac here tonight, as well as Jericho and Omega. So I did kind of decide to change that back. So here we go with an episode of Dynamite. Around 2,579 people. It is Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega starting things off with a promo. Just kind of running down, just kind of going back and forth with each other, going a little bit over their history, and Jericho saying that he's going to be the first AEW World Champion no matter what Kenny Omega brings to the ring, and that Jericho will be advancing later on tonight. Omega, of course, says that that's definitely not true, that he is a big star and that he is going to prove that Chris Jericho is the past, whereas Kenny Omega is the present. 65 rating, not too bad. Kenny Omega struggled when improvising, which kind of sucks, but that's what it is. 65 rating before that big main event tonight. Then we have a 65 rated matchup that features Pac defeating Jay Lethal in 12:43, that is, by pinfall, the corkscrew shooting star press. 65 for the match, 71 from Pac, 58 from Jay Lethal. Suffered from lack of psychology, whatever. Lethal seemed off his game, which kind of sucks. Was hoping for a little bit better, but that's all right. I'll take it. Got the crowd hotter as Pac moves on to take on the winner of tonight's main event in the semifinals. So it's gonna be Pac taking on either Chris Jericho or Kenny Omega, but we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. Then after that, Andrew Ocampo interviews Dr. Britt Baker backstage. Baker just says that next week on Dynamite, she gets to break Lex Kaufman's teeth, make her submit to the lockjaw, and move on to being one step closer to being the first ever AEW Women's World Champion. 25 rating here, not too bad there. Then after that, speaking of the Women's World Title Tournament, the Bunny defeats Riho in 11:21 by pinfall, the best super kick ever. That's surprising. I wasn't sure she was doing that, but all right. 46 rating. Bunny with the 43, Riho with the 35. So Bunny gets the victory and moves on to the semifinals, where she will take on the winner of the match later in the night between Ashley Lane and Tenille Dashwood. Big, nice victory here for the Bunny, and a 46 rated matchup, which is really good there for our women's division. Afterwards, Bunny and Rosemary are in the ring, celebrating Bunny's victory as Riho is helped to the back by Mickie James and Kylie Ray. As it seems like Riho and Kylie Ray are kind of struggling when it comes to being able to try to stop the Dark Order here. We'll have to see where that leads in the future. Then after that, we have an interesting segment where Jesse Goddard comes out, and he says that he's a megastar, a movie star. He is unbelievable. He is the greatest thing in AEW today. He is just ranting on, talking about how great he is, talking about how amazing he is, when someone enters the ring behind him and the crowd loses their mind at the sight of who it is. And said person grabs Jesse Goddard from behind, puts him in what's known as the coquina clutch, and falls down to the canvas, causing Goddard to pass out in the hold. It is none other than Samoa Joe. He is here in AEW. He debuts his badass gimmick, which gets a great rating. Nothing, no pros or cons for it. 51 rating for the segment here. So, Samoa Joe was rejected by WWE. They just said, hey, we're not going to renew you. So I was like, all right, come on to AEW. So, Samoa Joe's here in AEW. This is more of a we need to get a few bigger stars to help carry the company at the moment, kind of thing. It's not necessarily because it's former WWE guys, because truth be told, there's just not a lot of big stars out there that aren't former WWE people at this point in 2019. So, and obviously, real life AEW, they had a lot of homegrown stars early on, but in this mod, at this time, a lot of those homegrown stars are really low at this point. Like, we can't even put Hangman Adam Page anywhere near the main event right now because he's churning out 30 in-ring performances. Like, I gotta, some of the homegrown stars, we gotta build up we gotta build up differently than they did in real life. So we have to have we have to have a few people from WWE come in and do some stuff. And, it doesn't mean that they're going to stick around. Like, it doesn't mean that Samoa Joe is going to be around for the next 5-10 years in our company, but it'll help early on. It'll help growing the company early on. So Samoa Joe is here, and he has Jesse Goddard's pass out. Not really a planned storyline between these two. Maybe a match next week, we'll see, kind of thing. But not really any sort of planned storyline between them. This is more of just who was a heel who I could have or who I could have Joe show up and choke out, basically. So Samoa Joe's coming in as a face. He's getting a big pop, and we'll have to see what he ends up doing here in AEW. Then after that, tag title tournament continuing on, has the Young Bucks defeat SCU in 12:51 when Matt Jackson pinned Scorpio Sky with a Meltzer driver. Austin Creed distracted Kazarian in this matchup, which led to the Young Bucks helping get the victory. Scorpio Sky was a weak link, only had a 34. Another person who, like I said, definitely needs to be built up some. Not that he's like a huge name for AEW in real life right now, but obviously he was better than this, so we'll have to build him up over time. Kazarian with 57, Nick and Matt 60 performances each. So there you go. Good stuff there as the Young Bucks move on in the tournament, where they will take on the winner of next week's matchup between the Dark Order and the Thrill Seekers. Then we have Private Party come out, or not come out, they're backstage after the match. And they said that they don't really care about the Young Bucks moving on in the tournament because all it means is that the Young Bucks can continue to duck Private Party. They can continue to avoid facing Private Party, but eventually Private Party will make sure that the Young Bucks end up meeting them in the ring, so that way they can prove themselves to them once and for all. And if it means that they have to put a stop to the Young Bucks in the tag title tournament to make it happen, then so be it. We'll have to see. But Private Party wanting a match with them, and we're gonna have to see if it ends up happening in the near future. Then after that, just a brief promo from Matt Sydal talking about his match next week against Brian Cage in the AEW World Title Tournament. Kind of talks about how Cage may have his hands full with Cody Rhodes. Maybe he's looking past somebody like Matt Sydal, but Matt Sydal could pull off a surprise victory when Cage least expects it. So Cage better turn his attention and his focus to Matt Sydal. Otherwise, Brian Cage will be watching. We'll be watching from the outside, and as Matt Sydal moves on in the World Title Tournament. So 49 rating, not too bad there. Then we have a match not involved in any tournament matches, as Tommy End, the leader of the Dark Order, defeats Darby Allin in 8:38 by pinfall with an Ori Death Stomp. 47 from End, 30 from Darby Allin. Again, kind of like I mentioned, or kind of like I said earlier too, we have these homegrown stars who we have to really build up because, like you just saw there, Darby Allin had a 30 in-ring performance. So definitely going to have to keep building him up over time. But Tommy End with the victory here, as we advance the storyline going on with the Dark Order and some of these people around here. Not sure why the Dark Order is targeting certain people, but we're going to have to see what happens there. After the match, Darby Allin gets attacked by the rest of the Dark Order. The Thrill Seekers come running out to try to help Darby Allin, but of course the numbers game is against him. It's a 4-on-3, essentially beat down. When all of a sudden, some music hits that people aren't quite familiar with until they see the name on the video screen, none other than El Generico comes running down and makes the save, chasing off the Dark Order. 37 rated. Not great, but it is what it is. El Generico got a poor rating for his masked wrestler gimmick. That kind of sucks, but El Generico is here in AEW. Losses don't hurt momentum as much as usual. That's good. He'll struggle when used as a star or major star in a company that's not comedy influence. So hopefully he doesn't become a star, major star for us. I think he's well known right now, so he's just on the outside of that. But El Generico is here in AEW as well. Another one so this one, WWE did try to re-sign Generico, or Sami Zayn, if you will. But we ended up being able to steal him away, and we brought him back. So El Generico has been brought back from the orphanage he went to in Mexico, and he is here in AEW. He comes to the aid of Darby Allin and the Thrill Seekers against the Dark Order. So, now the Dark Order doesn't have the advantage anymore against these guys. I mean, there's not that Allin was really paired up with the Thrill Seekers before, but now, now it's seems like there's an actual, even playing field when it comes to people going up against the Dark Order right now. So we'll have to see what that ends up leading to. But El Generico is here in AEW, and we will have to see how things play out for him. Then after that, women's title tournament, Tennille Dashwood defeats Ashley Lane in 12:23 by submission with an epilogue. I don't know why it's called an epilogue, but Dashwood gets the victory in a 52 rated matchup. During the match, Kaylee Ray actually came out on the stage and was watching. She didn't actually get involved in the finish or anything like that, but she was just watching out on the stage. So Dashwood gets the victory and moves on to the semifinals, where she will take on the Bunny. 52 rating, good match here. Dashwood seemed off her game, so she actually would have probably had about a 50-something in-ring performance if she wasn't off her game, but I'll take it. I will take it. Afterwards, Kaylee Ray and Ashley Lane end up having an argument, and they start fighting with each other. Angel Williams and Crazy Mary Dobson shows up, but the partners of Kaylee Ray recently, Io Shirai and Mayu Iwatani, come out, and there's just a big old 6-person brawl happening. Officials kind of have to come running out to try to break things up, but big old 6-woman brawl here, as it may be the commentators are kind of talking about how we may end up having to see some sort of 6-person match between these 6 at All Out, because of course now Lane and Kaylee Ray are both out of the tournament. In fact, none of the people here are in the women's title tournament left, so may have to see if it ends up being a 6-person tag or a 6-woman tag match at the pay-per-view or not. We'll have to see. It's only got a 29. That's all right, though. And then in the main event, a 72 rating. That might be our best match we've ever had. I can't remember for sure what our best match was, but it's definitely up there. As Chris Jericho defeats Kenny Omega in 14-16 by pinfall. After Daniels Daniels came and distracted Omega. It was enough of a distraction for Jericho to then hit the Judas effect and get the victory. 72 rating, 62 from Kenny Omega, 66 from Chris Jericho. As Jericho moves on to take on Pac in the semifinals, which that should be a hell of a matchup between those two. After the match, Jericho is celebrating when all of a sudden Chuck Taylor hits the ring and hits the soul food on Chris Jericho. Of course, the issues between the Inner Circle and the Best Friends are still continuing. Jericho gets laid out by soul food from Chuck Taylor, gets a 61 rating as it advances. That storyline gains heat for it too, which is good. But Chuck Taylor stands tall at the end of Dynamite here, getting a little bit of revenge for the recent attacks and whatnot by the Inner Circle. Show gets 67. Increased popularity in 47 regions. I will not complain at all. It means we didn't lose popularity in the Southeast, which is awesome. which is definitely awesome. I will not complain about that at all in the slightest. Really glad to see some of the stuff happening here. Admittedly, I'm a bit surprised that Jericho and Taylor segment got a 61. That kind of surprised me a bit. But yeah, we're gonna have to keep as I mentioned on the show, we're gonna have to keep building up some of the hometown talent, so to speak. But some interesting stuff happening out of this. So next week, we will have the rest of our quarterfinal matches, and then we have 2 semifinal matches figured out already. In the women's title tournament, it's going to be Tennille Dashwood and the Bunny. On the men's side, it's going to be Chris Jericho and Pac. We're going to have to see what plays out next week. And then we'll have the week 4 of August. And then we'll have everything ready for All Out, which we're set to do All Out the first week of September in game. So I think we'll have maybe a week in between determining who's in the finals for those tournaments, and we'll have I think the tournament finals will be not the go home Dynamite, but the Dynamite before that. So then the go home Dynamite will be able to do any final build before that, as well as everything else being built up. So you probably figure out a few matches that are going to be happening at the show so far. We just haven't made anything official yet, but we're getting there. We are getting there. Big stuff for Dynamite this week. Unfortunately, again, third on the night, as NXT UK had more viewers. But we did have the best show of the night, so I can't complain about that. As NXT had a 59, with Johnny Gargano and the Velvet Dream defeating Ricochet and Dave Brewer in a tables match to retain the tag titles. Chelsea Green defeated Kairi Sane by DQ in a match that had been for the NXT Women's title. Is Chelsea Green or Kairi Sane the champion right now? Kairi Sane's the champion. Okay. Couldn't remember who actually had it. Connor's leaving WWE. We're not bringing in Connor, but it would be funny. But we're not bringing in Connor. I thought so. I'm not trying to steal everybody from WWE, but I had kind of considered possibly bringing in Marina Shafir, especially since she's in AEW in real life. I thought about it, but at the end of the day, I decided to let her stay there. She's only kind of lower to mid 30s right now in ring performance wise, which probably could possibly be the product as well. But I was just kind of looking at her stuff, and I'm like, her popularity's still really low. I was like, she wouldn't. I don't know if she would be the best with our company right now, especially because we have so many people in our women's division that we have to keep kind of working on, keep making better at this point, and all that. So I feel like we have a good women's division. We just have to kind of build them up more popularity wise, because right now we have I'll put the splash screen really quick because I don't want to spoil anybody else. I think I have one more person that hasn't debuted yet. It's not in the women's division though, so I can do that really quick here. So right now, when it comes to our women's division, of course this includes Mickie James, who's just a manager at this point. But when it comes to our women's division, we have Alexis Kaufman, Mia Yim, Tennille Dashwood, and the Bunny that are recognizable. Everybody else is all unimportant status. So I feel like we need to focus on kind of bringing up some of them, getting them more popular, and developing them more, especially with Leva, or not Leva. I was looking at Leva there. Especially like Dr. Britt Baker, we need to build her up. Priscilla Kelly, we need to build up. Penelope Ford, we could build up a little bit. We have some people there who we need to build up so we can get them doing better stuff, and kind of go from there. But we'll make it happen. Slowly, surely, we'll make it happen. So that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Hopefully you are all excited to see more of the build to All Out. And hopefully you have people in mind to who do you think are going to be in the finals for the different championships. As of course the Young Bucks I've already locked their ticket in to All Out. They'll be taking on the winners of either the match next week between the Dark Order and the Thrill Seekers. World Championship next week will be Cody Rhodes versus Jake Hager, as well as Matt Sydal versus Brian Cage. And then women's title tournament, it will be Alexis Kaufman versus Dr. Britt Baker and Mia Yim versus Hikaru Shida next week. So that should be a lot of good matches happening. So thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. We'll catch you next week for another episode of Dynamite.